Hey everybody, I'm Tim and today I'm here to piss off some cigar geeks. You're watching Cigars Daily. I want to invite you to get more out of this and all our videos now when you watch them on cigarsdailyplus.com, because we're always working to make it better on Cigars Daily Plus. In the cigar world, there are some rules that, for whatever reason, the cigar geeks get all kinds of bent out of shape when you even question them, which is weird. This is not a religion, and if you didn't know that, this is not a religion, this is just a hobby, something that's meant to take your life to a more relaxing level. And so there are no really hard, fast rules for this, and on the channel, I've said that a ton. Like, there are some things that'll make your experience a little better, and some things that, quite frankly, it doesn't really matter how you go about it. And those are the things that I want to, sort of separate. And humidity is a huge part of this. You can't enjoy cigars without having some kind of container to keep them in. And at home, maybe you've got a Tupperware, or an acrylic humidor, or wooden humidor, or some kind of refrigerated monstrosity that your wife keeps looking at you and saying, "Where the hell did you spend all that money, Cletus?" And so when it comes to storing your cigars, you're going to hear this rule from time to time in the cigar world. It's the 70-70 rule. Your cigars will be in the best shape if you keep them at about 70 degrees Fahrenheit and 70% humidity, and that's the rule I want to debunk today, because even though I've actually touted the 70-70 rule here on the channel, there might just be a better way. And as I dive into this, I want to invite you, put a comment down below with where you keep your humidity, because I want to point out that there's actually a massive range of how to do this and what will actually make your cigar experience better. And my sense is that there are so many different ways of looking at it already that you probably learn something if you read the comments. But all of this really stems from a party that I had last weekend. And when I say a party, I mean my wife and I threw a birthday party for our son. So of course I had some of my buddies smoke cigars with me there because, well, my son's friends are my friends' sons. And so we were sitting out back and taking cigars out of the humidor in my house, which has been sitting a little high on humidity. Since I've gotten it, I've fought to get it from 72 down to 68, but it always seems to sort of inch back up to that 72 mark. And when I first got into the cigar world, that's where I liked my sticks. I want them to be soft to the touch, almost mushy, but not entirely mushy, and I felt like that was going to give me the best of what I could get. And then, as I pulled these sticks out and lit them up, I felt like they didn't have as much flavor, like they were really just way too mushy. And it caused me to take a look at some of the humidors I got here around the shop, like the one over my shoulder, which is a functioning humidor that sits just under 70%, usually right at around 69%. And similarly, a number of other humidors we have here at the shop sit right at 69%. And it's something that stood out to me that day as I sat and smoked my 72% cigar, that it was just not as good as a lot of the other stuff I've smoked. So I started taking my trusty humidimeter to my cigars as I've been smoking them, and found that the cigars I have enjoyed and actually gotten the most flavor from have come at a bit lower of a humidity. And it caused me to say, hey, maybe we should all rethink exactly how we go about this. And that's why for this video, I went to one of my humidors here at the Cigars Daily HQ that I know sits at 68% humidity, which is only 4 points below the humidor at my house where it always wants to sit. And that has actually made a tremendous difference. I pulled out this Alec Bradley's Black Market Esteli. It's a newer version of the Black Market, but when I lit it up, what stood out to me, which was very different than the Alec Bradley I smoked at my son's birthday party, is the flavor that comes through. The cigar I smoked at home, sitting at 72%, was like muted flavors and tasted almost soggy, and the smoke, there was a lot of smoke, it was just kind of wet smoke. Even the retrohale didn't have a ton of flavor, but this right here is explosive flavor. It has an amazing sweetness, a little bit of pepper on the retrohale, amazing wood notes, and it's even smoking better. The burn on this is amazing, and I couldn't believe how much I had to touch up the one at home. And that's why 4 points makes a huge deal. And when it comes to you storing your cigars, you should think about how many points you can change it just to make the experience that much better. What if every single cigar you smoked was like 20% better than normal just because you lowered your humidity by 1 or 2%? And I gotta say, looking at lower humidities actually gives you some other really amazing advantages. Stuff that pops up with cigars like cigar beetles or like mold on your cigars, the kind of stuff that you really want to avoid, those things become less of a danger as you push that humidity down a little bit. You'll find that you won't have nearly as many issues, especially with mold, which loves to grow in like a warm, wet area. So if you dry it out a little bit by just a few percent, you're gonna decrease the amount of that stuff amazingly. It'll give your entire collection a better presentation and a lot longer of a shelf life. And as I sat down, I even took my trusty humidimeter to see what the humidity of the actual leaves in this cigar were. And when I plugged it in, I was really surprised that this thing was sitting in the low 60s for humidity percentage. That's impressive to me because I'm still getting so much out of the cigar. It is a far way from being considered dry or anything like that, and it's definitely in a lot better shape than the wetter one that I smoked. And so I just want to put this out in front of you. There are no hard, fast rules to the world of cigars. They're here to serve you and not you to serve them. And the 70-70 rule is not a bad rule. It's a good rule of thumb. The real range for humidity should be from around 65% on the lower end, all the way up to about 72%. But these days, I find myself gravitating closer and closer to the low end of that scale. I even talked with a guy in the shop today who told me that he has a friend who keeps all his cigars at 63% and is very happy with them. I even have a few people who shop at the shop here who were asking me about getting Bovedas in the low 60% because they find so much better of an experience. So if I can do anything, it's to thumb my nose at that 70-70 rule and say, as you continue along your journey in the cigar world, dial in that humidity to get it just where you want it. And that can be really tough to do with some humidors, I know. But if you can find a way to do it, and Boveda packets are a great way to go, grab yourself a 65% pack and see if bringing down that humidity by a few points actually gets you a better result. And again, leave your comments down below. How do you keep your cigars? Like, how do you store them, or what humidity do you keep them at? I would be so curious to know because I'm guessing there's a massive range and a lot of us who could improve every single cigar we light up. And I want to encourage you guys, check this video out on cigarsdailyplus.com because we're always working to make it better on Cigars Daily Plus. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments. Even how you smoke them, that some cigar geeks keep. This is Alec Bradley's just kept in a different humidor, I feel like one hemisphere of my brain just is like, nope, we're not doing it anymore. I'm done. And while my oh, wow. Well then, I'll tell you what. Shoot.